Hi, thanks so much for joining me for the Sephora Get Ready With Me. Today we are talking about this or that. I mentioned some of the pitfalls to avoid when shopping the sale and talked about two different products for, say, foundation, concealer, each of those steps. So today we get to see them side by side. We've got a full face of half and half. So if you noticed in that video, I have different even mascaras on right now that are different colors. My eyeshadows are different colors. These are very popular products on Sephora. So if you're trying to decide on these products based on skin type and aesthetic, things like that, I hope this is helpful to you. So let's go ahead and get started. So I put in some Sunday Riley clips that they sent to me a few months back with some skincare. And I believe Sunday Riley is carried at Sephora if you are a fan. I did apply two different base products on. I like to let them absorb for a little while before I go in with makeup. I think that's always good to do because it's always very moisturizing on the onset, but then once it absorbs, it can be definitely a different experience. So for instance, over here, I have on the Bobbi Brown. This is a very well-loved product. It's by Bobbi Brown. It's the Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I'll put an image up here for you so you can see that, what it looks like on the site, as well as little shopping tabs here should be popping up. So you can click on that and look at the item as I'm talking about them. So hopefully that's helpful. And those are like affiliate links, so thank you so much for using those. So here we have the Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which is more like very much a primer. It has like not a stickiness, there is like a tackiness to this that makeup will adhere to really nicely. And then on this side over here, I applied the Merit Great Skin. And this one is a little bit more hydrating. So I think more dry skin types would enjoy the Merit product. And then I think more oily combo skin types might enjoy the Bobbi Brown. So knowing that those are the two bases that I put on, I'm going to select the foundation that I think works well with each one of these. And because this is more hydrating with the Merit, I'm going to go in with the Dior foundation stick. And I have 3 shades. Also, I have a short that has several of these shades swatched. So I'll see if I can remember to include that. So I have 3 shades. This is 2CR, 3N, and 3.5N. You can see there are differences in undertone, in light and deep. So again, 2CR, 3N, 3.5N. And since I'm a little bit less tan right now, we're going to just go in with a little bit of this 3N. And you can see the color. And then we're going to add a little bit of 3.5N on the exterior. But yeah, you can see the difference. Those are really different to me, even though they're 0.5 apart. I'm gonna use this Shiseido brush. It's very similar to the ones with the petals that I have, but this is just one. And it's more, it's not as tightly packed in terms of the bristles. So you can see I can almost get away with no concealer. So there's the difference. So now you can see why I would need 2, because I'm a little bit lighter in the center and a little bit deeper here. And I got the other one 2CR because I was trying to mix 3.5. And for me, it really depends on the season, what tones I would use. That's why it's also nice to have this one because the undertone's a little bit better for me. This is 3N. Can hint at slightly dull on me. It just really depends on where my skin is in the seasons. So that's why I have so many of these. And I'm gonna do a little bit of the 2 just so you can see right in the eye area, right under the eye, because that is where the lightest part is for me. Now that we've done that, I'm going to add the Westman Atelier on this side. This is the Westman Atelier foundation in Atelier 5, that's a shade. So just making sure to shake this up. Now this one, a little bit tricky with a brush because it's a lot more fluid. This is why I'm using on the one with less moisture. That's why I'm using it on the less hydrated primed side. So we've got 5 here. I'm going to take this other Shiseido brush, the petal one, and I'm going to apply it directly to my face. And then we're going to use a brush to blend it in. I mean, immediately you can see the difference in the finish. Much more of a satin finish here And the hair is definitely more glowy, even more so than natural skin. So that is one of the biggest differences, is that finish. And then you can also see why I would choose a primer that has less hydration for the Westman Atelier. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit of 3.5 over here on the chin. Both are quite seamless though. Let me lean in. Dior, Westman Atelier. Okay, next let's go in with concealer, and I have a couple of different concealers here for totally different purposes. However, both of these do address under eye and dark spots. So in this way, they're both great because you can double up on these. Sometimes I only have concealer just for dark spots and then a different concealer for under the eye because they require different levels of opacity, as well as sometimes different shades because I've got some color correcting for these dark spots. I really like lightweight concealers, typically under the eye, but I will allow this under the eye as well as for dark spots. This also brightens. So this is the Westman Atelier, and because we have Westman Atelier, let's pair these together. Now this works really nicely, actually quite nicely, with the foundation because the foundation is very lightweight. So if you do need coverage, then you can definitely spot conceal here and do some pinpoint concealing if necessary. So we're just going to really very strategically place this concealer in spots that require just a little bit more coverage in these particular spots. One of my favorite Sephora brushes, 71 brush, is an under eye brush. So because the Westman Atelier is so sheer, then this works really nicely with it because you can just really apply this where needed and let that skin show through in every other spot. And just a little concealing makes a big difference. Then on the other side, more of an opaque coverage. And this is for someone who really wants to protect their skin, especially these areas where the skin is very delicate under the eye. And then these dark spots, if the sun were to touch those areas on my face directly, they would deepen pretty quickly. So I'm very careful about that, which is why I like this for both under eye and dark spots, and it works really nicely. So this is the CL concealer. This Westman Atelier is an M2, forgot to mention that. And then we have here the CL concealer. This concealer also has some peachiness to it, which is great for color correcting for dark spots. Now this does have a more makeup-like appearance. It's not as seamless, but I am willing to compromise. If you want to see that full face of SPF, it's called the Ultimate Everyday Makeup. That should be coming up very soon. I use a lot of, I think mostly SPF products if that's important to you. But there's definitely an opacity to this. It is a little bit more obvious than the Westman Atelier concealer just because of the purpose, which is SPF. But let's see, I'll show you the difference. But it's pretty good for an SPF concealer. And then you can see Westman Atelier. So Westman Atelier concealer, CL concealer. M2 is the shade, 08P. Okay, going in with something that is not available at Sephora. I don't think I have anything like it there. This is Victoria Beckham. You might be able to find something in like a Bobbi Brown or a, what's the other brand that has the eyeshadow sticks? This is the one I use for under eye. You can see I still have some darkness. So this is Entrench by Victoria Beckham. It's an eyeshadow stick, but I use it as a concealer of sorts. Quickly do my brows. I have been loving the Kosas brow products, and I've got mine in brown black and in gray. Brown black here. Great hold on this. You see how long my brows actually are when they're fluffed up like this. Chris will get them to go, like that's a lot, but we'll get them to go in the direction we want. It just gives a little bit more volume though. Three-dimensional look, more natural. And then I just added a little bit of, just the tiniest bit of this Victoria Beckham baby blade to the front of the brows just to make sure they were all even, or as even as possible. I have a little bit of sparseness at the beginning, but I did not add it anywhere else to the brows. Let's go ahead and do some bronzer. We have this Dior bronzer, the stick bronzer, and this is in tan. I believe I also have another video or a short that might have the bronzer shades. This is the most natural looking for me. All of the other shades looked really cool, so they'd be more like a contour than a bronzer. So I'm going to place this really high up. I think this is great for warmer skin tones, just a little. I don't wear as much bronzer. Yeah, this used to be a must-do step for me, and now it's not as much. It's not as often that I add bronzer. I don't know why, I just kind of got out of the habit of it. We're gonna use this Fenty brush. This is a bronzer brush, and it goes right under, you can see it curves, it goes right under that cheekbone, kind of helps with placement. Like that. Let's keep going. Little goes a long way, as you can see. Blends really seamlessly, really easily. Of course, I've got the Dior products over here as well. It's gonna be really high. It's a Dior bronzer, very natural. Now let's go in with, do you remember this? This is Guerlain. I haven't talked about this in a while. I haven't seen anything really pop up by Guerlain that I was really interested in, so I still have this Terracotta Light. This is in the shade 3 Medium. So if you're looking for a medium warm, this has some warmth to it, as you can see, based on the colors in there. So I have this Hourglass brush. It's a double-sided brush. I've had this for a long time, and we can just go right underneath. It's a bit of glow. It's really pretty. You can see it definitely has a warmth there. So it is really pretty powder blush that's available at Sephora. We're gonna go in with the eye. Now, I never bought the case for this. There is one Prada eyeshadow I'm really interested in. So this is the one in 03 Pulse. And this one has a vibrant orange shade in it, but we're not going to use that one. So that's not really my speed. So we're gonna just go in with these two if you wanted to see this. We're going to use the usable shades. So we're gonna go in with this all over the lid, this middle shade. I really like the formula, but the colors are very fashion forward. What I would call high fashion colors, not everyday colors. There is one that I would like to pick up at some point. So that is the color. It's pretty satin. I mean, that's pretty right there. If you want something a little bit cooler, it has a bit of a lavender kind of tone to it. And then let's take this shimmery shade just on the hand here. Like again, more of that like silvery kind of mocha shade. And then that's it. That's all we're going to do. Then let's go on this side. Very easy eye here. Let's go on this side. We have the Westman Atelier. This one has 3 shades. Let's go in with Tabak, which I like by itself. So let me just clean my hands here. We'll go in with this color. It's really pretty. It's got reminds me of the Mermaid Eyes by Chantecaille, if you're familiar with that line. Got a slight warmer glow to it right there. And then we can go in with Tabak. Looks like this color right here. Slight glow to that you can see as the light hits it. Just do a little bit. So they actually both have a very similar effect in terms of the glow, except one is a little bit warmer and one's a little bit cooler. Let's go in with the Givenchy mascara on the cooler side. This is definitely a Holy Grail contender, this one right here. Recently featured it as a Holy Grail contender. So there is the Givenchy, really pretty lash. And then a really great brown mascara, if you like brown mascara, is by Tower 28. This one is in the shade Drift, and we're going to add it over here. But before I do that, let's add a little bit of Neige from the Westman Atelier. It's the more white shade. These are among some of the easiest eyeshadows to use, just with the hands. It's really easy. Then let's go in with the Tower 28 in the brown. If you wanted a brown mascara, this is one of the few companies that does a really beautiful brown mascara. I know it's harder to find. Let's do a little bit of finishing powder. Powder is not really necessary on either one of these. If you want to keep this dewier look, you can keep that. If you like this look, this actually doesn't really need setting on me. But if you want to, I like a lightweight powder for both of these. because they are very natural looking, both of them. I mean, of course, this is more natural than this. So I've got a couple of Hourglass powders, little ones, but I don't use that much. So this is the Ambient Lighting Powder in Dim Light. Oh, actually, let's do this. Let's do Dim Light over here, and then let's do Luminous Light over here. So Dim Light and Luminous Light. I want to keep this glow here, and I want to keep a little bit of that satiny look over here. These are by Hourglass. It's by Chantecaille. And let's do Dim Light here. It really just softens this whole area. Does a little bit of color correcting for me. And then I have another brush by Chantecaille. This is same Buff and Blur brush. And I'm going to go in here with Luminous Light. So if you don't love highlighter, but you want a little glow, this is like a glowy powder. It's really pretty. And you can see it just brings forward that bone structure, but it also just diffuses that glow a little bit. So those are really beautiful. I love Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powders. I still think they do those really, really well. So they were one of the first people, I think, to introduce that powder. That's why I started my channel. One of my first videos, I think my first video was on Radiant Light by Hourglass. So I've been using their powders for years, since I started YouTube 9 years ago. Adding a little bit of the Luminous Light here, to the chin, to the forehead. That way we still have a little glow. Okay, we're ready for blush now, and some people love a powder blush, some people love something that's a little bit more glowy. Before that though, let me just put on a little bit of one of the lip products. This is by Prada. This is the color here. Really pretty color. It's the Prada Refillable Light Glowing Lip Oil Stick. We're just gonna let it hydrate for a bit, and then we'll try the other lip products on. Some people love powders, some people love something a little bit more glowy. So we're going to go in with this YSL blush. This one right here is in 44. The shade is 44. Let's go ahead with this brush. This is an Hourglass brush right here. We're just doing this. You can see how much pigment is there. Oh, you can see how much pigment there is right away. So I'm just being really gentle. I'm stippling it. I don't want to move this around too much. I'm gonna just buff around the edges though. You can see it's got a pretty glow. So if you want a powder with some glow built in, there's a little bit of a glow here. So I believe this is a satin, but also we have some glowy underneath, glowy products, so you can see it coming through there. Really pretty. And then let's go in on this side. We've been using so much Dior, let's go in with the Dior blush on this side. And this is one of the most flattering blushes if you want something that's not going to show texture or emphasize. So if you want something that's not going to emphasize texture, this one's a really pretty one. I'm gonna just clean off this Hourglass brush, the blush brush, and we're going to take some of that onto this Hourglass brush. And this shade is 012 Rosewood. You can go directly on the skin if you want to see what that looks like. Just trying to really control this amount of blush though. Similar stippling action, I don't want to move around makeup too much. So you can see the difference between the blushes. I've had questions about this, and I don't think I ever showed how I do my bangs with the Dyson. I washed my hair last night and I used this, is by Rouge. It's the Milk Hair Serum. So I put that in when it's damp, and then this morning I put in a little bit of the Evergreen Style Cream by Rouge as well. So that's what's at the ends. The only thing I used to blow dry was my bangs. I need to get those in place while they're damp, or else I can't do anything with them. As you can see, it looks like there's going to be a problem, but let me show you how I use the Dyson Airwrap to help with this. A very old Mason Pearson brush here that I'm using. Brush through. I have the round barrel on, and I'm going to blow dry this down like this way around. Again, you've got the ability to change the direction of the air, so I'm going to have the air go down and in front. So I'm going to choose the middle setting, so not too hot and not cool, and then I'm also going to choose a lower setting here. So these are my settings: medium heat and then low speed, and then I'll turn down the volume a little so it's not so loud, and then under like this. Then I check, it gives it a little bit of a lift. So I do like my bangs a little bit further out. So what it does is it gives it a little lift. So away from my face a bit. The bangs are getting a curve in there, which is what I want, so that they're not stuck to my forehead. And that's essentially how I use it. I can also turn the air away if I need to get this flatter to my head. So then so then I'll put it against my head like this and away. So that gives a little bit of movement to the bangs and a little bit of direction, so they're not straight down. Sometimes I like them straight down, sometimes I like them swept to the side, so it kind of gets them going to either side. So that is the bangs, really very fast. So you can see if you do what I do where you're setting them and then you put a clip in, and then when I use this on my hair like this, I go away from my face, I do highest heat, highest speed, and then you can see the curl. Just a really quick way to get a wave and movement in the hair. Also, it smooths it out. Now over here, I'll show you what's happening over here. Over here is the air straight, so we're gonna straighten the hair. So if you've ever seen my hair really straight, this is what I've done. So then we've got here power. And that's how straight it is. And then you can do a cool shot too if you want. I mean, they're both really easy and fast to use. Like you can see the shininess. That's what I like with the straight version, is that it makes my hair straight and shiny versus straight and not shiny. That's what I get from this versus a blow dry. I don't get a straightness. It's always gonna have a curve to it when I use a round brush. So that's what I like for this. It makes it look really healthy on the ends. I just did my hair, as you can see. Let me just spray a little bit of this Sorbet Superfine Hairspray. Just slightly, just really little teeny tiny bit, because I don't like too much. It'll weigh my hair down if I have too much hairspray on. So it can last me like a good year. That's how long this can of hairspray will last. And then let's go in with highlighter. I have a couple of options for you. We have both Westman Atelier. This is the one in, let's use this one actually on this side. This is the Peau de Pêche. It's a cream highlighter, you can see there. And let's just use a little bit. So it looks like this, more like a coppery kind of shade. Again, if you want to see an SPF highlighter, actually this one's quite nice. This one by CL. Actually, I'm going to be purchasing a backup of this one in Penny. It's very similar in shade. And then also Bahati's another one. And then we've got here another highlighter. This one's in Nectar by Westman Atelier. This one's a stick. So it's got more glow just because it's a glowy texture. Yeah, you can definitely see a difference in glow on the side of my face. So that hopefully will give you a good indication of some of those glowier products, whether it's from texture, whether it's from the particles in the product itself. So this is Nectar over here. So if you want a little hydration, that's really pretty too. Then let's go in with our lips. Also going to be very natural. We're going to use one of the Merit lip pencils. These are very nice. I have several, but the one I really pull for here is Beverly Hills. So if you're gonna pick one, Beverly Hills is really beautiful. Make sure I've got that lip oil removed. It won't stick as well, but hopefully you got to see that product and why I like to use that on the daily. I love to carry that one in my bag. So let's add Beverly Hills. Yeah, this really is the smoothest lip liner I've tried. It's a lot of glide to it. And then let's add a little bit of the Merit, and this one is in Pointel. This Merit product. So that is it for the Get Ready With Me. If you're wondering, this is by Quince. This is one of their cashmere sweaters. I had a sweater or a cardigan actually, and I had a cardigan by Buck Mason earlier. If you're interested in those, I don't know if that one's available. If this is, I'll link this one here below, but they're really cozy, both of them. But this is the final look, and I hope that was helpful. You get to see the finishes, you got to see performance. Very easy products to use. You can see why they are highly rated, but I thought would be helpful, especially since if you're here, you probably like a more subdued, subtle kind of aesthetic with your makeup. Very much a no makeup, but put together kind of look, and that's what I think these products do. So it really depends on your needs, skin type, aesthetic, glowy. Or maybe if you have a favorite brand, I hope I was able to bring to you some other brands that you might consider. I hope it was helpful to see that Dyson in action with the bangs, because when I put clips in my hair like that, it will often distort my bangs. They are very finicky, and so in order to get them back into place, the Dyson really helps. That is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.